So, Mary, you have a very interesting career. Why don't you explain a little bit about what you do?
Well, I am the founder CEO of Dance Awareness, No Child Exploited. And it is a organization that is designed to educate and bring awareness to this pattern of hypersexualization for children in dance, in adult costumes, choreography, and music. And I might add at younger and younger ages.
Yeah, I noticed that. I see this all the time.
Yeah,
People I know on Facebook, on Instagram, and the like. It's just like 5-year-olds with their legs up
yeah.
like this. I can't do it. I'm not flexible enough. And shirts up to here, little booty. And I honestly don't understand. What do you think started this very disturbing and, quite frankly, upsetting trend?
Well, the first thing you should know, and your listeners and viewers should know, is I'm a dance educator. I have a degree in dance, and I have a master's, and so I love dance. So I'm not coming from the perspective of a no to the art of dance. What I'm coming at is from the perspective of three words that have changed our culture: the internet, the media, and the pornography industry. And those three entities have been a portal into the art of dance and transformed it from healthy, educational, wonderful dance for children to harmful, hypersexualized dance that has disturbing outcomes that are all negative.
Yeah, could you describe a little bit about what those outcomes are?
Well, maybe I can define what the APA says is the definition of a child that is hypersexualized. They say that a child is hypersexualized when they're valued only for their physical appeal or look, where their physical appearance is equated with being sexy, when they're made into an object or sexuality is inappropriately imposed on them. And these are children that I'm concerned about. Of course, I'm concerned about adults. But this whole thing of exposing our kids at younger and younger ages to harmful adult sexual topics is what I've really had to circle the wagons around. The outcomes for this kind of hypersexualization and exposure from the media, the internet, and the porn industry that are using dance as a portal range from body dysmorphia, improving a rape culture, psychological abuse, including depression, and a lack of understanding of healthy relationships, an inability to identify that they're being abused. Just we could go on, and the research for this is all on my website, danceawareness.com.
It's when do you think this trend started? I mean, I feel like it was kind of there in dance where they were wearing cute itty bitty costumes, but I feel like it's gotten worse. I think maybe within the last 20 years. But when do you think it started getting
Well,
worse?
well, actually, I would mention two things. In 1983, the New York Times released an article titled "The Loss of Childhood Innocence." But in that article, the article, of course, was not about children losing their innocence, because that's kind of what a child is. It was about that adults were changing their perception of who children were and when innocence should be exploited. And we went from an age of protection, that is shielding kids from adult issues, and I'm going to underscore the word sexual issues. We went from that protective context to an age of preparation, that is exposing children to adult issues. And of course, the research then now shows that doesn't work. So that would be one thing. We had a shift in the culture about how we viewed children. And then we had the internet come on the scene. And in 1979, I believe, the Congress passed the Communications Decency Act. And nobody knew what the internet was at that time. We didn't know at all what we were going to be doing, for instance, Zoom. right now. And so there was no regulation. And because nobody knew what would happen to this new industry. Well, because of that, no regulation, no controls for children by any means. And so we had all these social media platforms popping up, from Facebook to Twitter to, just Instagram, and on and on and on, TikTok. And all these platforms don't have any filters. In other words, children can get on them, but adult predators can get on them. And what's been happening in dance is children in dance who are posting hypersexualized dance videos, because there's so much of that on the media. And the brain research says we copy what we see. So when they see a media icon like Jennifer Lopez or, Britney Spears doing hypersexualized dance, they want to do it. So then the dance studios have the kids do it. Then they post their little videos on Twitter and Instagram, and predators from the internet take those videos, upload them to porn sites where they're distributed. And not only that, but these predators, because there's no filters on these platforms, often introduce themselves to that child, because see, they can get all the child's information. And of course, the child has no life experience. And when somebody contacts a child unbeknownst to their parents, they are grooming them more and more and more to be friends, and then just maybe send nude photos or send me more hypersexualized material. And so we're seeing even dance students and other children led into trafficking. So it's a big mess. And I think it's important that your viewers, your listeners, know about this so they can speak out about it, and go on to danceawareness.com, because all of our materials are research-based and free.
Oh my God, that's disgusting.
It's pretty disgusting, and I know a lot more. I am affiliated with the National Center on Sexual Exploitation. And so I am pretty versed on a lot of patterns in our culture that we really don't want to take a peek at. But I think we have to, because adults need to protect children. And so that's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
And I think you're one of the world's unsung heroes for doing this. I
Well,
mean,
thank you.
listening to this, I'm shook. I mean, I'm not a mom. I'm an aunt to a beautiful 10-month-old baby, and I'm a godmother to a 6-year-old who actually is in dance. And I can't even begin to imagine. It shakes me to my core. And seeing some of the things I've seen, like I mentioned in the beginning of the broadcast, I saw that one picture of the 5-year-old dressed way too old for her age, and it's like, what I want to know is, where are the parents? Why are they not saying, no, I don't want my child in this cheerleading uniform, in this dance outfit? And I was actually talking to my mother about this when I was telling her about preparing for this interview. When I was, 3, 4 years old in dance, the dance teacher wanted us in these little crop tops and stuff. And the parents actually said no. And she actually changed the costume to make it age appropriate. I want to know is, why aren't more parents or dance studios, cheerleading doing this?
I think the answer is a lack of education and being unaware. And again, those words, the internet, the media, and the porn industry have a lot of money. And they're making a lot of money not only grooming children to want that, but grooming parents to normalize it. So we're normalizing what is not normal. We have accepted it. And I think adults are very busy. I think there is a group that are evil, but I think most adults who don't stop this really are unaware and uneducated about it. And so that's why Dance Awareness provides all our materials for free. And we can make a change. And I think we are making a change. And so your program is really a wonderful service to the listeners that are coming in and tuning in. And I also think most parents, most adults who love children don't know there's a difference between healthy dance and harmful dance. And I distinguish that. In healthy dance, a child looks like a child. in age-appropriate costumes, choreography, and music, usually accompanied by a great sense of joy. In harmful dance, which equals hypersexualized dance, a child looks like an adult in adult costumes, choreography, and music, usually accompanied by adult hairstyles and makeup. So for the viewers that really think, well, I haven't got a dance background, how can I tell? Look at a child, and if they look like a child, they're probably doing healthy dance. If they look like an adult, they're probably in inappropriate material that is adult oriented.
So disturbing. I can't even, I have no words for it.
Yeah, let me share, if I could, one other thing, and that
Yeah,
is a lot of
absolutely.
people think, oh, I won't have my kids take dance and they won't be affected. Well, and that's not true, because I gave you those three words: the internet, the media, and the porn industry.
Yeah.
And all children have access to one of these, right? Those are my two
Mm-hmm.
granddaughters, by the
Oh,
way.
beautiful.
They have access to that, their friends have access to that, and the research shows whether a child is in dance, doing the dance moves, or watching it, the brain research shows that they want to copy what they see. So see,
Right.
we're changing, we're shifting the way children see relationships and abusive outcomes result. So whether a child dances or they watch it, the research shows they're going to have negative outcomes. So we have to make sure our kids don't have access to adult sexual material. And so it's a much larger problem than dance by itself.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
then the research also shows that healthy dance is the best thing for a child. It integrates mind, body, and spirit. It did that for me when I was a little girl. So I have some good stories to tell about that. But when it's separated into exposing children to adult sexual material, it does the opposite. It affects their brain development, it affects their academic performance, it exploits psychologically relational components. So, it's something we really have to take note of as a culture and protect kids. I was protected. So I want to protect children, and I believe the people listening to your program want to protect kids too. I,
Absolutely.
can I encourage all of you? Um, we all think, oh, I'm overwhelmed, I can't do anything. Well, you can. Can I challenge all of the people listening to this program? Go on to danceawareness.com. Look at some of the materials. We have PowerPoints. We have little videos that are 30 seconds. We have trailers. We have research, and share it with 5 to 10 people. Now, everybody has a relational circle, and everybody knows kids, right?
Yes,
Whether
yes.
kids are taking dance or watching it, we all know them, right? And
Exactly.
so that's something you can do, and it's very practical. And like I said, we even have a 20-minute film where I interviewed experts from the National Center on Sexual Exploitation, and they give their views about healthy dance and harmful dance. So I'm using these terms because most adults don't even know the difference, or they wouldn't think of going, well, is it healthy dance or harmful dance? Because they didn't know it was either. They just thought it was dance. So healthy dance and harmful dance are the terms to use, and to make sure your child and all the children you love and care for are exposed to healthy dance, not harmful dance, because harmful dance is connected to pornography, and pornography is a visual narcotic.
Exactly. And you mentioned before the internet and kids being exposed to internet. Is there a way parents could maybe monitor more with their children watch? I mean, I know you can't monitor every single thing. I'm not that naive, but there's definitely, they could, maybe put like I don't remember the exact term, like
Yeah,
child.
there are
Yeah,
all kinds of controls
there you
that
go.
we as adults can put on our children's phones and TV and all that. I have a friend named Charlene Dokebauer that did a video for Dance Awareness that's on our website about digital supervision. So we have to do that. We supervise our kids when they cross the street. They have to look both ways, and we monitor what they eat. We monitor when they go to sleep. But I will also say, while those things are important, digital supervision. This issue is bigger than trying to supervise your kids and control them. You need to do that, but they're going to go to school and their friends are going to have phones and they're, that aren't supervised. And so we have to educate our kids. We have to talk about things. We have to tell them about predators. I have some neighbors that I won't mention names that had 2 police cars in front of their house about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And what had happened is their little girl, who was 15, was contacted by a online predator, and the police showed up. They were lucky. They were lucky that somehow this was in her, they found out about it. The police were called, but they're in shock. And I think most caring adults are in shock about these trends and these patterns. So we have to get busy educating both ourselves. You can do that on danceawareness.com. We have a free ebook, by the way. It's only 15 pages. What's the new trend in children's dance? How to choose a healthy dance studio, how to avoid a harmful one, how to educate a dance studio owner about these negative trends. And by the way, there are a lot of dance educators like me who don't want to hypersexualize children. It's the parents who are pressuring them to do that. So I'm seeing an educated adult in all categories. It's the internet has taken us all by surprise, and with no regulation, these are the outcomes, you see. And you might want to be interested to know there's some legislation pending in Congress right now called the Earn It Act that will provide accountability for children who have been contacted by predators and their videos uploaded on these social media platforms. It will give a child and their parents the ability to sue that platform. And unfortunately, I think unless there's accountability, I would love to say, oh, if they know this is hurting kids, these platforms, they're going to put the right filters in. There was a change in legislation called Sesta Fosta about 5 years ago, where Congress passed this act, this Communications Decency Act, and amended Section 230 and said you cannot use the internet for inappropriate exposure of sexual material to children's. CSAM, child sexual abuse material. And so you would think those adults would go, oh, we don't want to do that, so we'll put filters on our social media platforms. Well, they didn't. See, they're making money, friends. They're making money off you and me, and most importantly, your children or your neighborhood friends' children. So we need to band together and stop this. And this Earn It Act legislation has passed the House. It's passed the Senate Judiciary Committee. It has not gone to a full vote in the Senate. It's called the Earn It Act. And I'm going to reiterate that it will allow a child and their parents to sue platforms that are using that child for inappropriate sexual exposure on porn sites. So it's a very important piece of legislation.
Oh my God, this has me completely shook knowing that this could happen. Like I said, I'm not naive. I know it happens, but hearing someone actually say it and confirm it, it breaks my heart because these poor children,
Yeah, you're not the
poor
only ones.
children.
And honestly, that is the issue that has made me say, I'm going to found danceawareness.com. And I'm going to do something. I'm going to speak out because I really think the lack of awareness and lack of education is what has allowed this to happen. And, a couple of years ago, we had all this ad and media and money making over the issue of cigarettes. And the whole tobacco industry denied it was connected to cancer. And of course, we found out that it is. And so the culture changed. And I really believe that with education and awareness, we can have the same thing happen with porn and exposing children inappropriately to the wrong things.
Now, have you considered working with someone like John Walsh and his son Callahan? And there's a new one. I don't know if you ever heard the show Undercover Underage, Rue Powell, another incredible hero like yourself, working with them, maybe doing a collaboration because they're all big into helping children who are exploited.
Well, I would love to have that connection point. What I find, and I will say, I'm going to be writing a blog.
You
I
are,
just got,
okay.
yeah, and I do that every month, by the way, folks. So go and read my articles. In fact, last month, I wrote one on the history of dance. It has all kinds of research connecting what I'm saying in this presentation or our conversation. Uh, you'll find links on my blog. It's called The History of Dance. I'm getting more and more interest in hearing what I'm saying. But when I approach somebody that I don't know and I send an email, I try to call, they just delete me. So I'm going to be real honest. I need personal connections with people. So if you or listeners are listening and you're willing to introduce me to somebody personally
I got you. I
via
got you.
Zoom or, email or whatever, I'm interested because I am getting open doors and have been for, a number of months. I'll go back to what I just said. I just got back for a couple of conferences and I see the interest there more and more and more. I see people are saying, thank you, and they're getting the materials. And I'm putting out that challenge, share this with 5 to 10 people. Don't let it get overwhelmed or don't be overwhelmed. You can do this and we can. I can do it, you can do it, they can do it. We all can share with 5 to 10 people about this issue and then it's free. So what's the problem there? There's no cost. And you can always write me. We have a campaign on Share Your Dance Story going on right now, and we're starting some personal interviews next month. We're going to be putting together some new materials with those interviews. But we have the research that shows how damaging hypersexualized dance is for children. We have that, but we want some personal stories of people that were hypersexualized when they were children and now that they're adults or young adults, how this has harmed them. So if you or any of your listeners know someone that would like to share that dance story, we'd love to have them. That's on our platform page on danceawareness.com as well. And people can use their name, but if you are somebody who has the story, but you don't want your name used, we can take those stories anonymously. So we try to make it easy. And all we want to do, friends, is to protect children.
Exactly. And
Exactly.
the one thing I also want to point out, I don't know how you feel about this. It's not just dance, cheerleading, whatever. It's also modeling too. I mean, I don't know.
It's all connected. It's all,
Exactly. Yes, yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah. And so parents think, oh, if I don't have my child model or be a cheerleader, they won't be affected. Well, that's not, it's a bigger picture. It's the internet, the
Right.
media, and the porn industry. They're very, very smart about what they do. So they funnel this material into dance. They funnel this material into cheerleading and all kinds of other things that children see and then copy.
Yeah.
The brain research is called mirror neurons. We copy what we see. So we as adults have to say, we're not going to do this. We're not going to allow children to be exposed to this kind of material.
Yes. And it's so hard because with the like we were talking about before, the advent of the media and social media and internet. I mean, Instagram, I could scroll through Instagram right now and see
Yeah.
4, 5, 6,000 pictures of, sexualized pictures, not necessarily children, of course, but pictures that children might want to copy. They say, oh, it's a pretty girl in like a teeny tiny top and her hair all done. And they want to copy that because that's what that gets all the likes. And we have to teach them that just because it gets likes doesn't mean it's appropriate.
Right. And I can give you a statistic. New York Times released an article about 3 weeks ago called Hundreds Held After New Zealand-Led Investigation. And in that article, they said that child sexual abuse materials online have gone up by 100,000 in 2021. This is a recent statistic, 70%. And it was terrible in 2020. In 2021, child sexual abuse material went up 70%, 100,000 pictures. So it's gotten out of control, way, and one child is too much that has been
Yes.
abused, even one. So we have to do something. We're the adults, and I hope your listeners and their families will join me in this.
Absolutely. I know I'm definitely going to help you as much as I can. And I'm going to see if I have some contacts for you that you could bring more awareness to this.
Yeah, and it would be helpful. You can email me at mary@danceawareness.com, but a personal email connection. In other words, if I get an email with Sammy saying to her friend, I don't know, whoever it is, that name you mentioned, they tend to take notice.
Yes.
So if anybody wants to email me and introduce me via email or Zoom, I have a Zoom account. We're all Zooming, and so I'm happy to meet people personally within
We
that.
will definitely make this happen. And I have to say, it kind of reminds me of this conversation. I'm showing my age here. There was an episode of The Facts of Life back in the day where Tootie was exposed to the modeling and they wanted her to be hypersexualized. And Mrs. Garrett put the kibosh on it, saying, no, this is a step above child pornography.
Yeah,
And it's just disturbing and sad that it's gotten worse before it's gotten better.
that's right. And it's not going to get better until adults realize it with education awareness and say no.
Yes, that's the thing. You just have to say no. You have to really.
We're not going to do this for the kids. We're not going to allow our kids to be exposed to this material and have these abusive materials affect their psychological development, their academic performance, all kinds of things. So we're just not going to allow that.
And it's depressing. Kids can't be kids anymore.
Well, and children don't have any kind of perspective other than it must be okay if it's allowed. Right?
Yes,
Because if
yes.
you're 10 or you're 5 or even you're 15 or you're under the supervision of adults, you indirectly are just trusting that it's fine. Or they couldn't do it. And children just receive that. So whatever they're exposed to, they think it's fine. And of course, predators know that. And that's why they're contacting children unbeknownst to their parents. And then we get into all these terrible patterns. So children are very, very vulnerable. They have no ability to identify abuse. None. They think it's the way it is.
It just breaks my heart.
Well, it does me too, my. Yeah.
So sad. And before I let you go, can you remind us one more time where we can follow you? I'm ironically asking you where we can follow you on social media. I know you mentioned your website, but do you have a social media where we could follow you as well?
Absolutely. Like us on Facebook, Dance Awareness. And we have Twitter and Instagram. So you can look us up, Dance Awareness, and they'll send you to us. And then, Facebook, of course, we'd love to have more and more followers and more exposure that way. And then danceawareness.com, email me, share your dance story, tell your friends about us, vote for the Earn It Act, or email your Congress people, your senators, tell them to vote for that act that's pending in Congress. And let's all get on the dance team.
Absolutely. I can't wait. Mary, this has been a pleasure. You've opened my eyes. You've opened the eyes to my listeners. And I think, like I said before, you're one of the world's unsung heroes, and there needs to be more people like you.
Thanks so much. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I hope we get to talk again soon. Hopefully after this act is passed, we could do an update on this.
I'd love to do that. And please, I encourage all of your listeners and viewers to go to the blog and look up the February blog that I posted. It's called The History of Dance. We also have a newsletter, by the way. So it only comes out 3 times a year. So you should all sign up. It's free. Anyway,
I will
Nice to talk
definitely
with
do
you.
that. Likewise, I will talk again soon. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.